Howdy, y'all. Supposed to be a nice, quiet evening. We thought we'd sit on the porch and talk for a minute. But the children are out in the yard, and the grandchild's out in the yard, and one dog's getting more attention than the other dogs. The dogs are whining, though, while one of them plays.
Welcome to Swafford Homestead. The dogs bark at everything that moves.
We've had some interesting stuff lately. But you want to tell them about your magnet letters and numbers you put on the refrigerator?
I just put them on the refrigerator and the grandson rearranges them.
I'm talking about that cute little laugh he had every time he'd get one of them. Or he'd move one of them. That little devilish grin and laugh he done. He thought he was topping the cotton. He thought he'd done something great.
He's 2 now, so he's into everything and experimenting with everything. I mean, he just wants to learn everything he can learn.
He's like a little sponge. He wants to absorb it all, but he was having fun with his meanie, putting them letters on the refrigerator now. He didn't particularly like her order that she was putting them in, but he helped her out. He put them in his order.
I just put them in ABC order.
He put them
so
in Lincoln's
he could
order.
see all the different letters the way they're supposed to be written.
And he put them in his order.
Yep.
A little here, a little there. Laughing the whole way. I couldn't help it. That was good. It was worth the few dollars we spent for magnet, alphabet, and letters and numbers.
Just remembered something my sister said when my niece was little. She would write the words of things and put them on write the word refrigerator and put it on the refrigerator so that he saw the word with the object, and it helped her learn to read. And I thought,
Wouldn't hurt.
And I think we had magnetic letters when Samantha was little.
Yeah, they've been around forever. We don't never seem to remember what we did with hers or Jesse's or.
Oh, they probably got thrown away because they only had about 2 or 3 left in the bunch. It's about like those ABCs I've got in there. I have a G. G is all I've got left.
They got sold. That's what we used to say. I'm sure they sold them in the yard and the garbage can, under the furniture, and various other places where you could hide it. Yeah, here we go again. Dogs, more dogs. They're all jealous of each other. They can't stand it when one of them gets attention, the rest of them don't.
Well, we have 5 around here, so it's not like it. Samantha has 2, Jesse has 2, we have the 1. There's 5 of them just barking and they scatter across the yard.
5 big babies.
Whiners.
Our German Shepherd's like a big baby. He whines and cries. You don't give him all your attention. He don't even like for me to feed the chickens. He throws a fit if I even walk to the chicken pen. If I open the door and even make any kind of noise like I'm talking to him, he cries like a baby. But anyway, crazy weather. I know everybody's experiencing crazy weather, especially in the South. I think it was 19 one night. It was late in the 40s one night. I think it dropped back down to 30s last night, but it was in the 70s today. It's weird on February to be in the 70s.
Actually,
I think we get a tan tomorrow. We probably lay out
a few years back, my grandmother went to Florida bragging about how warm the weather was in Florida. It was hotter here than it was in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, it's, I don't remember what the degree is, like 70, 75, and 70 or something like that. And they had gone to, I don't know, Daytona or something. It's been several years. And I looked at her and she goes, well, guess what I'm doing? I'm sitting on the porch in my shorts. It's so hot. I said, I'm standing on the porch in my shorts because it's so hot and I got you beat by 5 degrees. I said, y'all need to come back to Tennessee. You'd be warmer. She could not believe that it was that warm here. And it was, well, welcome to Tennessee.
I was talking with a man from Georgia this afternoon. I'm working on a mobile, what they call them, a modular classroom. Mm-hmm. And the people that brought the trailer that we got it from sent some people to do some work to it. He was talking about how humid it was in Georgia and how much better it'd be here, and I said, no, not really. It might be a little warmer down there, but we got the humidity here.
That's where 90% of our heat comes from, I think.
Yep, he missed all the fog this morning we had from the crazy weather. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face hardly. He thought the humidity would be much better here. I said, no, we start out in the 90s a lot of days and go down to the 80s, and sometimes we stay in the 90s, especially summertime. We stay in the 90s. If it drops, then the forecasters in Nashville actually lets everybody know, hey, it's going to be a low humidity day.
That's almost grounds for celebrating.
Yeah. June, July, August, all that. Yeah, when humidity drops out, it's like going back to springtime or fall. Makes all the difference.
Well, when it goes from being 110 and 20 in the shade to dropping down to 90,
We just get the heat index back down. Out of the teens and the 120s, it feels pretty good when it gets down around 100 or less.
last year I think we hit 106 as the highest. The heat index was like 120 or 30, something like that. It was
I think we had 127 or something like that on the heat index.
It was bad. I took a picture of it at one point.
What's bad, it don't go away. It's like being
No, it was like
further down
90
south.
degrees that night.
It stays hot all night long.
We just, it went from 105 outside to 88 or 90 in the overnight lows.
2020, I was off work. We was both off work. It would actually drop down in around 70 at night. Even in the summertime, it would get down kind of cool, and we could raise the windows and bear it pretty well without air conditioning running at night. Done pretty good at it. Saved a lot of money.
Some
We
night.
had to. Now there ain't no use complaining the weather will change tomorrow. Well, tomorrow night it'll change. It's going to be hot and humid all night tonight and tomorrow road, but tomorrow night it'll start dropping again.
That's why it sounds like we're chugging in a chug jug. Keeps our sinuses jacked up when it's 70 and 80 degrees in fall, when it's supposed to be 30.
19 degrees in the morning, gets up to the 60s and tries to get to 70s the next day.
And it makes well, it's making everything want to bud out. It's too early to bud out.
That was another thing I was going to say. I went around trimming my fruit trees, several of them, and I realized a lot of them's budding already. They shouldn't be budding in February. This is the time you're supposed to trim the trees. You're supposed to catch them dormant. Well, I had to hurry up and cut some of them. They haven't budded out the leaves yet, but you can see them forming. It's too early especially for like a peach tree. It don't need to even get started. Which means we probably won't get any if it keeps this up. If it does the hot cold all the way through, it'll get the buds and blossoms, and
Yep.
we'll have another year with very little fruit.
What I hate about this kind of weather is the bugs. The bugs are already starting to crawl and fly.
We didn't have enough cold weather, I think, to combat them.
We had a week.
Yeah.
We had a week of cold weather.
Had a few cold nights, but that don't count.
It got down, in the teens? Down around zero one night?
We got -2 one night. Well, technically -2 hit that morning. It's always the coldest about an hour before the sun comes up. It's dark. Maybe the dogs can settle down a little bit now.
The kids have gone in. Maybe all the people walking by. It's just people's out for a walk and riding their side-by-sides.
It's 70.
It was
What is it,
66
70?
when we come out.
It was 75 or 76 today. I forgot to look what it was, the top of the temperatures, but at lunchtime it was around 75, which means it could have got warmer. But it's still, February ought to be cold. February used to be
Ice.
20s at night and 40s during the day. Most of the time you'd have a hot day or two. Now we've got hot days every day, and we're getting a cold night every once in a while. It's just backwards.
We used to get ice a lot in February.
End of January and February used to be rough weather.
We missed a lot of snow days and stuff. School closed the other day for the storm coming through.
Yeah, school closed the other day and nobody informed me. I got up, got dressed, went to work. I drove to the shop, which is the other end of the county. I got to the shop, there was nobody there. School buses sitting around. I said, they have closed school on me or made it late, one of the two. Even the boss man wasn't there. I found the big boss man and hit him up. And they said, oh yeah, we closed it last night about 10 o'clock. Didn't you see it on Facebook? I said, no, I don't live on Facebook.
I normally
It was on the news. I said, don't have television.
I usually check Facebook before I go to bed for stuff, but I wasn't anticipating a school closing.
Not for a spring shower.
Rainstorm. But now it was supposed to have gotten really, really bad right at lunch. Well, the front slowed down, and it didn't get here till after lunch. Well, I mean, we wasn't the only school that closed. Most of them around us closed that day because it was tornadic weather and all this other stuff was supposed to come through. And then I think some neighboring counties got hail, but for the most part,
North of us got
it rained, but wasn't no worse than any other day we've gone. It's just one of those things. It's like somebody said, put a post on Facebook. They'd rather close precautionary and nothing fall than to have them go to school and cause an accident because they shouldn't have been at school. And it had a picture of a bus on its side in the snow. Of course, it was about snow and stuff. But
it's a rural area. I mean, there ain't that many kids. It ain't like we're closing anything major. We probably got one of the smallest school systems in Tennessee.
Well, I mean,
as far as buses, I know we do because I've talked to the other bus mechanics and the other bus garages, and they laugh at our numbers. We've got like 17 buses on route. We own like 20 buses. That's tiny compared to most.
But you also got to think about places too. You get up around Nashville and stuff. You drop in one subdivision and you've got a bus load ready to go to school.
Yep.
Where my sister lived up around Franklin, Nashville area, they had a single bus. Its only job was to come to her subdivision because that subdivision was so big and had so many kids, it had its own school.
It has more people in this town does, so.
And I sat there and I shook my head. I mean, we had like their elementary school, which only went to like third grade, I think, or fourth, for this one subdivision, had more kids in it than our entire school system does. I just shook my head and I was like, wow. It just blew my mind that my niece and nephew went to a school that all the kids were from the subdivision. And it was just like, they run like 3 or 4 buses to the subdivision. I mean, you could literally walk to the school from the subdivision because you could see the school. They would load up 3 or 4 buses of kids and haul them all over. And I sit there and I'm like, how many kids are in this school? And they was like, I don't know. And it was like 500,000, something like that. About 1,000 of them. And I was like, that's just... You got one in this one little section, then you have... And they just come out by the drove.
My bus route was around 90 miles a day. I drove for... I made a route, and I've done a transfer to... Because there's one school in our town, and the rest of the schools in the other town. So we done a transfer to the other schools from this one. This was a pickup point. I spent, an hour and 45 minutes on the bus in the morning, roughly that in the afternoon, and burned about 90 miles a day. It changed. Sometimes it was, I think it was 84 at one time, then it went up 88 or 89. And there for a day or two, it was 120 something miles. 4.5 hours of riding in a bus. I went 120 miles a day, and I picked up 60 kids, maybe, both rounds.
Maybe.
I have had a lot more. I've had 130 on a bus, and 2 bus runs, the double run. What I'm trying to say, the route and the transfer together, I averaged about 125, 130 kids, but it ain't that way no more.
No, we don't got the youngins in this county that we used to have.
All the industry shut down other than
Yeah,
one
but
little
the
old factory, and it don't employ but 49 people.
well, I mean,
We're losing numbers quickly because we only had 800 people in this little town to begin with. I don't know if we got 800 anymore.
about the only people left around here though are people who grew up here. That's like us, you know. We're on up. I'm not saying we're old, but we're a little bit too old just to pack everything up and move somewhere else. Most of the people, I mean, our hospital is closed,
And we
so
have no hospital.
there's nowhere for
We
our
have no
medical
emergency
professionals.
rooms.
So they all had to go to other places to get jobs.
Got a few doctors' offices, but
Our factories are closed, all except one or two. They don't even employ enough now in this whole county in the factories is only like maybe a quarter of what one factory used to provide back years ago. So everybody's having to go out of town to work, and then they're getting to the point now where people living here are retired or they've moved here from somewhere else and they've already made their money and they really don't have to have jobs.
you gotta
Because
realize
I mean,
that.
you come from a place like California, where our daughter used to work at a motel. She would meet people from all over, and somebody moved here, said something about needed to change their license plate. Well, she said something about it costing went up to what was it, $30 this year,
Yeah.
and they were like, "That's for the whole thing." So she's like, "Oh yeah, 30. I mean, it's getting high." And she said, "No, honey, that's not high. We paid $600 and something in California for our license plate." My daughter looked at her and said, "I need a new job. I couldn't afford a license plate where you live."
We drove a few cars
Yeah.
and it didn't worth $600.
I mean, like, but now,
I
like,
drove them home a lot cheaper than that.
you also got to look out there. What is it, California that passed the rules that you can't have your car can only be so old? None of ours is young
Multiple
enough
rules.
to be. None of ours is young enough to even be drove in that state. There's one state that you can't even come into the state with an old vehicle. I can't remember which one. Is it California?
They have several rules on age of vehicles and kind of vehicles. And
Round here, you got a new vehicle, you're high on the hog.
they don't have. We don't have any of the taxes like they do on vehicles. We don't have to have vehicle inspections. We don't have to have all that stuff. Bill tax and all that. Not yet. It's coming. Because there's not enough people to support this place anymore. Well, I was going to say, the factory I used to work at, the local one that shut down, it more than doubled the population every time the doors opened on Monday morning. They would double the population of this little town.
They had almost as many employees as the town had.
Like I said, it more than doubled. They had more than our town had.
They probably had about as many as the county had.
No.
Yeah. Sheesh, they had
Like
a lot.
I said, it more than doubled. There's about roughly 800 people in this city limits. They employed 1,200 people.
Oh, really? Is that it? I thought it was bigger than that.
So yeah, we more than doubled the population at 6 o'clock Monday morning. And sometimes it runs 7 days a week.
Yeah.
For a month at a time. So stores was more populated. I mean, they could sell a lot more stuff. Your little convenience stores popped up. There's a restaurant or two that's tried to make it. You got tourists coming through. You got canoers and the ones that goes to the state parks and stuff like that. They'll come through this area.
Tennessee River's what draws a lot of them.
Tennessee River draws a lot of people. There's a lot of campsites on it. There's more people on the river than there is in the city limits. There's a bigger town on the river than there is in the actual city.
Yeah. But I mean,
You can't say you live in the country if you live on the edge of the river anywhere around here. Because you got more neighbors than I have
oh yeah.
inside the city limits here.
Yep. But when you pay for thousands of dollars for a little speck that'll barely hold a trailer, you know. I guess our son's working late tonight. They done turn the porch light on for him.
Motel 6, they're going to leave the light on for him.
That's something we got coming up. Oh.
We got a new store coming. I just thought about
No, we got wedding coming. We got a son fixing to get hitched up.
Yeah, they do. I
2
just
months.
I just looking around thinking there's gonna be another store down here for too long. I don't know why they think this town needs a Dollar General and a Dollar Tree, but
I don't know why
I
they
don't know
want to
how
put a
they think
Dollar
from
Tree
Oakland.
here. Of what is it? A Family Dollar Tree
Yeah,
here, and there's just one. What, 15 mile down the road?
I don't know how this little town's gonna support both of them, but hey,
Ain't no way.
somebody's crunched the numbers. Somebody's gonna spend a lot of money.
The only thing I
I
can
don't care
think
for the Dollar
of.
Tree or the Family Dollar on the opposite end of the county. It
Only
don't
thing.
amaze me at all there.
Only thing I can think of is what they're looking at is summer sales, because we're so close. We're the closest small town to the interstate that people stand down there at the interstate will run down here. That's why our Dollar General
Dollar
stays so
General
busy.
down there
When they put a Dollar General at the interstate?
6 or 8 months ago.
Well, I ain't been down there in a while. Pay attention, huh?
They've already got a Dollar General on the interstate.
Well, why in the world they want to put one of them things down here?
What did I just get done saying?
I knew there was a scratch dent kind of place down there.
There is a Dollar General, just like, well, not hardly as big as this one, but it's a smaller version of what we have. But
I
ours
don't.
actually had the full line of freezers and stuff. They was trying to compete with their little grocery store.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it still is or not, but at one time, our Dollar General was the #1 in the region on
Well,
sales.
if you keep building them all the way around it, it ain't going to be.
I don't understand how they can do that. It wouldn't
Like I
make a
said,
lot of sense to me, but
Somebody gets paid a whole lot more money than me to count money, and they've got it figured out. So
because I mean, they just like what,
they call
last
it a money
summer.
counter. Actually, they're being what people used to call a bean counter. You know, they decide what's profitable and what's not.
It was just what, last summer they put the Family Dollar Tree down the road.
It ain't worth flip now. They don't have anything I desire enough to drive 15 miles to get. I'm really getting tired of the Dollar General because it's got so cheap and so hard to find anything. It just ain't a good place to shop unless you drive to a Walmart or to a bigger store, bigger town where they got bigger stores.
Well, our local grocery turned to a Piggly Wiggly.
It's a Piggly Wiggly Express. It ain't big enough to be Piggly Wiggly.
We're the hiccup in the road.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody wants to locate to this little backwater county.
There's a world of people living in here from bigger cities, though.
Yeah.
Want the country life, but
Yeah.
very few of them getting to a place where they're going to actually be out in the country by themselves because
So
they're
many of
buying
them
lots
down
and
here.
there's people on both sides of them and in front of them. And other than paying city taxes, you ain't got a whole lot of difference if you're surrounded by people.
Well, but what they're coming here for is like we were just talking about. We have $40 car tax. They have $400 car tax. You know, when you cost of living
Cost of living
we
is
just
cheaper.
our little town is cheap on as far as cost of living. But now let me tell you, unless you got your money made, you ain't gonna make none.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna make no living here. Everything to make a living.
Things don't work the same as big cities either here, so
Oh no.
you got to know how to work things in a rural area.
No, you gotta learn how to keep your foot out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm having to learn that one.
Because you cross the wrong person in this county, you don't get nowhere.
You cross one, you cross a bunch of people.
Because you go to talk, you can't talk about nobody. You may be talking about somebody's family. It's not as bad now as it used to be. And when we was young, you talked about somebody, chances are you was talking to somebody's family.
Yeah.
Nowadays, though, there's so many move in, the homegrown folk was about wiped out.
I keep expecting them to on a 4-lane road through here. For some reason, or other Tennessee thinks every highway should have 4 lanes, and they're slowly but surely getting it closer and closer to this area. I'm assuming one of these days they're going to bypass this little town and make their 4 lane somewhere else. And when they do, this place will dry up. There won't be nothing left here. That's all it'd take now because industry's gone and all your good jobs is gone. It's a retirement community. That's what what I was told it was going to be years ago by several old men.
That's what they wanted it to be. Even when we was kids, that's what they said. They wanted it to be a good retirement community. Well, they worked hard and they've done a pretty good job of making it that way.
It's nice and peaceful though. It'd stay that way if they continue this. There just won't be no jobs here.
The hard part of it is, though, is when you have to load up the car and go away to buy groceries because there's nowhere around here to get them. So you better make you a really good list.
Yeah, they really need to think about that before they completely run everything off because we still need their basics. We need our grocery store here. We need our hardware store.
And you think about it, if you wipe out most of a town, it'll get hard to get gas to go anywhere.
Everything goes.
Yeah. Because it'll cost more to have somebody to bring the gas down here and put it in the tanks.
Yeah. Your convenience store don't make money off gas. They sell the gas where you'll come inside and buy all the junk. That's the reason it's a convenience store.
It'll get to the point
they make
where
2 or 3 pennies a gallon off the gas, but when you come inside and buy that 20-ounce drink, you gave them probably 50 cents to $1 profit off that.
It'll eventually get to where it'll all be pay at the pump, and you just scan a card, and all that'll be there. You may have this little dude sitting in the building in case something tears up.
You get 4 or 5 of you in the vehicle. You go in, you get drinks, you get snacks of some kind, or if it's got a deli, you buy the deli stuff. Yeah, you made them a pretty good profit. The gas you pump in the vehicle, it don't mean nothing to them. The gas you pump in the vehicle pays the company that brings the gas and keeps the pumps up. The convenience store don't make nothing.
When we was first married, I was a manager of a convenience store, and one of them said, somebody come in one time and said, "This isn't very convenient. It's an expensive store." I said, "Well, we are a convenience store. We conveniently take all your money."
Yep. Convenience don't mean cheap.
No.
Convenience means it's
convenient.
It's convenient to you. The items don't necessarily have to be cheap to be convenient. They're of the right size. They're the smaller drinks and the small chips and the candy bars and the cookies and the chicken strips and tater logs and all that stuff in the deli. And
it's the grab and go.
All the candy and gum and stuff the kids like to play in. The kids what makes them money. You turn kids loose in the convenience store, you're going to run a big deal.
And everybody's going to if you need to use the toilet, then you got to buy something to use the toilet.
Well, the one you worked at was down on the interstate, and it was loaded with knickknacks, junk, what I called it. But you had to have all these little magnets and little glass things and stuff that said Tennessee and things that said Letterlands, Dude Ranch, and
I was gonna say when you live very close to a legend in the country music industry, yeah, everybody thinks that y'all
have all them trinkets.
It was so hilarious.
It's amazing what you can fit into a little bitty building. It was just wall to wall. Is it the candy, cookies, cakes, chips, or it was trinkets?
It was amazing what people would buy too.
Yeah.
I mean, you went outside, walked through the woods, got you some cockaburs on your leg, come back in, dust them off, wrapped them up, and charged $1. I mean, come on now.
There was I'm going to call it a gas station when I was a kid. We'd drive down the interstate every once in a while. I didn't get to go often because he sold everything including fireworks year round. But he was one she was talking about. He would walk back behind his garage. Of course, it was wooded land for miles. He'd get a bunch of cockaburs on his pants. He'd come in, pick them off, put them in a bowl. He'd sell them for $1. $1 a piece.
Porcupine eggs or something
Porcupine
like that?
eggs.
Yeah.
He said he made a killing off porcupine eggs and
Bald man's hairbrush.
Tennessee turd birds made from dog mess.
Yeah, that was another one he did.
He laughed every time somebody bought one. But he sold hundreds of dollars a year off them.
He cut a piece of wood flat called it a bald man hairbrush and sold them by the gallon.
Cut it
No,
out.
hillbilly hairbrush. It was bald man.
Cut out the shape of a hairbrush. Sand it down a little bit. Put a little shellac on it where it'd be shiny and smooth. Right, bald man's hairbrush on it. And he sold them all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know how much gas he sold, but he sold all kinds of junk.
And if he put the word hillbilly on it, he could have used. He could have gone in the bathroom and dug out nasty toilet paper, called it hillbilly toilet paper, and people bought it. I had never in my life seen somebody could sell. I think he could have sold ice to an Eskimo.
He was good.
He was. It was.
He looked like
He had a unique store though. That's for
it
sure.
looked like a yard sale year round.
Yeah, it was almost like an thrift stores kind of thing, but he just junk basically. I mean junk, pure junk, and people pay good money for pure junk.
Oh, yeah. I watched him buy it.
Because he called it something weird and Lord,
He just had a unique way of selling it. I mean, he made a living doing this.
made a good living doing that.
Picked up rocks. I mean, it's anything you could ever think about making money off of. He could sell it. He could come up with a way to sell it.
Because he called it weird, like I said, the hillbilly toilet paper and the hillbilly hair, bald man's hairbrush.
The rattlesnake eggs in the envelope. That was
Yeah.
he made a fortune off that. And when I said $1 for a kookaburra back then, $1 was quite a bit of money. I mean, that was.
Lord, you got gas was only
We're
like
talking 35, 40 years ago.
you're
gas
talking
was 50
gas
cents
was
a
like,
gallon,
yeah,
maybe.
less than 50 cents a gallon.
They was buying kookaburras for $1.
They were spending more on the cockaburs than they were
Sometimes
the
he'd give them,
gas.
sometimes he'd give them a deal. He'd sell them a couple.
Yeah, it was about like 1 for $1, 3 for 2, or something like that. But it's just little ridiculous things like that.
Tourism.
Those are things
That's
I
all
miss.
it was. It was for tourism. These people who'd come through that had no clue where they was at. But there was nothing on the interstate then.
No.
He was
Entertainment for sure.
him and one other store was entertainment. The store you worked in had it was a buffalo, I think. Was it buffalo or a bear that stood outside? Buffalo, wasn't it?
Buffalo, because that's the name of the little.
And he put a microphone in it, and he would do the noises and make people come all around it and look at it because it was huge. He had a vacuum cleaner hooked up in it. He'd talk you into putting something to his mouth like $1. He was another one of them people who could talk you out of your money. He turned that vacuum cleaner on and it'd suck that $1 right out of your hand. Quarters, pennies, it didn't matter. It'd eat it all. That buffalo was hungry, kind of thing. There ain't no telling what that vacuum cleaner made him. He'd growl. I mean, he'd done all the noises for it. It was hilarious to watch it.
Yeah.
People would drive up, roll their window down, and stick $1 right there just to hear him do it.
That's crazy.
He had all kinds of weird stuff. It was another one that looked like a yard sale about 11, 12 months of the year. Of course, his store was that way too. It had a big snake in a cage in the back. It had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I remember the snake.
Entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
You could get to the interstate, you had some prime entertainment. The people coming in was just amazed by it.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
Those were the days. Nowadays, I guess some days I wish we could go back to that simpler time. Before the cell phone, before Instagram and Insta News and Insta everything. Kids today don't understand what it means to wait for something.
I guess we won't have to wind her down. It looks like the clock's running pretty fast on that thing, pretty hard.
No. Well, they just don't. They don't know how to entertain themselves without something to entertain them with. We played with a rock and a stick. You threw the rock up, you hit it with a stick. Now, you didn't have to go chase the rock because there was plenty more down on the ground. You just picked another one up and hit it with a stick. Nowadays, you say something about hitting a rock with a stick and the kids go, what?
Kick a rock.
Yeah,
You
we
don't
kick
tell how far.
rocks. Oh, boy.
Don't tell how far I kicked the same rock.
We'd see how far we could kick the thing.
I'm talking about just staying up with it. You kick it a little ways and just keep kicking it and
Yeah.
just bump it along, take it home with you.
And
I
you
don't know.
Times are different.
That just wasn't nothing here to do. You didn't know no different. If you didn't have it, you didn't know no better.
I never realized.
Stickball was fun.
You know, I grew up on a Boy Scout camp, and I can't tell you how many Boy Scouts come down there and say, well, what do y'all do for fun? Well, what do we not do? We have all kinds of fun around here. Because there was no mall. Oh, where's close? About an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
You're an hour and a half from a mall. Yeah, we don't go to the mall.
That was prime entertainment. About Thanksgiving or around Christmas, you got to go. We went to Jackson on this end. We'd make an all-day trip to Jackson and go with my mama and grandmother. And then we'd go shopping.
You literally shopped till you dropped because you made that one trip.
You had to make that one trip, and you left out early in the morning, and it was dark, and you got home.
You drug yourself back in.
That's when you got fast food, though, because there was nothing else to eat by the time you got done. They would feed you somewhere down there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like us. Every time we go pick a grandkid up from the daycare, what do? We stop at Sonic and get them an order of French fries. You know, when we was growing up, there wasn't no stopping at the fast food place.
Not unless you was already out in the big city somewhere. We got to wind this up. We've been talking forever here.
Well, you said you'd get me talking now. See what you did?
Yeah, it don't take much. Yeah.
Well, not when you're traipsing down memory lane.
Well, I hope y'all have a good rest of the week. We got to get off here. We got to get back in the house.
I'm getting cold. We might need to.
Y'all have a good week.